When will the video start? Hello, everyone. I am Simran Singh, and on behalf of Sudans Tech, I'm overwhelmed to welcome each one of you present over here. As the banner suggested, we are here to talk about Postman and know a lot about API. So, for that, we have a guest speaker. He doesn't need much introduction because he's already renowned, but let me introduce you all to him. He is Ali Mustafa Sheikh, student community manager at API. So without any further ado, let's get started. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Simran, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing good. So let's get started without wasting much of our time. I'll share my screen and let's get started. Hello, Natasha. How are you? All good? Okay. Yeah. This is a beginner level session. Okay. So if you are an advanced user, this might not be for you. But yeah, it is, basically for beginners. And we have some amazing, exciting swags at the end of the session. So watch the video till the end so that you understand what we cover and then you earn the swag easily. Okay. So I'll wait for a minute before getting started so that more people come in and then we can get started. Till that time you can kind of come in and you know comment something, maybe hello, hi, or your city name, where you're from. That would be fun. Okay. Okay, looks like more people are joining in. So we'll get started and see, later on how people interact and then, go ahead with it. So my name is Ali Mustafa and I'm the student community manager here at Postman. I usually look after the student leader program and the student expert program. If you have, already, you might have seen different people kind of sharing about their journey as a Postman student expert and as a Postman student leader. Okay. So what the programs are all about and everything, we'll talk about it later on. But the main, agenda for today is to discuss about a Postman and working with APIs around Postman. Okay. I really love talking with people and delivering sessions, as you can see in the photo. This is me delivering session to over 400 students at an university. I usually prefer physical sessions because then I can talk with students directly. Right now, it's more like, one-on-one talking. So don't, let me, go you guys and interact with me in the chat majorly. Okay. So I'll be, asking you a lot of questions in the chat. So yeah, make sure you kind of, are active and respond back if need be. Okay. Cool. So what is our agenda today? Agenda is very simple. We will kind of start with the introduction to APIs in basic terms, layman terms, and then cover what is Postman. We'll talk about how to work with APIs and try out things hands-on with follow-up resources, a task for you guys to kind of earn swag, and then Q&A if you have any questions. If you have any questions, you can ask me in between as well. It is not like you have to save it till the end, but I can have a separate Q&A session as well. Okay. So when you talk about APIs, APIs are very simple to understand. Okay. In a very layman term, I would explain API as a restaurant where you go to a restaurant, you ask waiter for a menu, order something, and then the waiter goes to the kitchen and brings you back your food. Waiter is acting as an abstraction to the restaurant kitchen, right? So you don't directly go to the kitchen and kind of get your food, but you have this waiter which kind of brings you your food and kind of transfers your message from here and there without revealing their secret in the kitchen. Obviously, if got a chance to kind of go into the kitchen, you might want to steal the recipe, from there. So they would want to kind of maintain a level of abstraction from the customers who kind of come in, so that it looks good at this, and on the second hand, your secrets are preserved. Okay. If you compare the same example with a simple client-server architecture, APIs acts in between, which kind of helps you to walk around with the servers, send data to the server, ask for data from server, and so on and so forth. If I talk about a bit technicality, let's say APIs in a bit technical manner, or how actually these APIs work in real life, I would take a real life example. So here is a question coming for you. Do you use Instagram? Have you ever kind of use Instagram before? Yes, no. Yeah, I'm definitely going to cover Postman APIs at the very end, because I think the audience I'm referring to is beginner level. So that is why we are kind of starting with basics of API. But at the end, probably we will cover about a bit about Postman API itself. Okay, how you can use Postman as an API as well, because that is something which is also wonderful. Okay, so yeah, you use Instagram. Okay, yes. So if you use Instagram or LinkedIn or any other social media, LinkedIn is not social media, obviously, but yeah, nowadays it is. People kind of use that as social media. So if you kind of use any of these websites, let's take an easy example of Instagram and how they use public and private APIs. Okay, so let's say you want to kind of go ahead and click a photo from Instagram. So what you do is you open your app, and then that app open camera. Now camera has its own interface, and camera is a hardware device. So how does Instagram acts as a hardware device on your system, being Instagram being software? It uses Android APIs which enable Instagram to access camera, okay, without writing a lot of code. Okay. So they would access it and then lock it so that you are clicking photos, you're clicking videos, and then no other person has access to camera till your Instagram app is open. Okay. Now, once you have clicked the photo, it will go to the interface. And now, for creative people, they would kind of what they would kind of do is they would add GIFs, okay, or they would add stickers, they would add different items, and for all these they will be using public APIs. For example, they are adding songs, okay, and so on and so forth. So all this you use a public API. Like for example, for GIF they use Giphy. Giphy is a repository of GIFs, okay. So they use an external service which is a public API, and then finally, they upload it to their server and then share it with your followers, where they use Instagram's private API, okay, which is not visible to you, not accessible to you, but on the back end, they use that to upload your story to the server. If you ever remembered a few months back, I guess it was not even few months, 1 month back, there was a case where if you opened a story, your phone would crash. Okay. So if you opened an Instagram story, your phone would crash. Okay. Now, ideally, if you're using, Instagram and kind of adding any kind of story, it will not crash your phone. The reason because everything is in limit. Okay. But if Instagram's private APIs are exposed, if someone is able to use Instagram's APIs and kind of mess with them, then they can add a payload which can consume, your complete processor. Okay, so your mobile will not have enough RAM, enough CPU to kind of deal with the story, the load which is coming in. Okay, and at the end of the day, what you will receive is a phone crash. Okay, so some examples of how people kind of misuse APIs which are private, but yeah, you need to kind of secure them so that people kind of don't misuse it. Cool. So what is an API? Like at the end of the day, what is the meaning of an API? An API refers to application programming interfaces. Application programming interfaces are nothing but they allow services to communicate with each other. In this term, API, interfaces are very, very common, and you can find interfaces anywhere. It can be a mobile phone, it can be a laptop, it can be a watch, it can be a kiosk system at a McDonald's, anything can be an interface. Okay. And then you use that interface to kind of do something and request some data from the server to perform some actions on the server where the abstraction is hidden from it. Okay. So APIs allows you access to kind of, bunch of different services, their features without even referring to their source code. And you will be able to use their features in your application without knowing how it works at the back end. There's an API for literally everything out there, starting from sign-in to, cat APIs to weather APIs to Discord to, tons of APIs out there, which you use every day and you don't realize about it. ATMs are also a great example of APIs, how you can withdraw money from any ATM, regardless of which bank you're from, because of the power of APIs. So why do we use APIs in real world? In very simple terms, in real world, we use APIs to kind of build individual softwares or individual features on top of our software and then combine them together. Okay. So we treat APIs as Lego blocks. Okay. So let's say I built Lego. Okay. I did not like it. I can break it and I can repurpose it. Or I like a feature, like say I want to add a Lego wheel. So in that case, I don't have a wheel with me. So what I can do is I can ask someone who has that feature and then use their feature in my application and make it work. Okay. A good example could be you as a developer don't want to design a login system. You don't want to maintain, email IDs, password, and all that stuff. So what you can do is you can go ahead and you can use Google Sign-in API. What that will allow you to do is anyone who has a Google account can go and sign up with Google, and you don't have to store passwords. You can just store their email address and a private key. Okay. And the authentication is managed by Google, so you don't have to take care of it. Okay. So that is a simple example. Okay. Of building from small blocks and then kind of, going up there and completing your software development. And this approach, which we call it, where you kind of start with API first, like APIs as your features, is called as API first approach. Okay. So where you kind of start with designing the API, refactoring the API, then making the API, and then building your whole application around, different APIs all together. So I see some questions. I see what is an API, which I have already answered. What is a Postman collection? We'll come to Postman collection probably in next two slides. What is REST? Also tell us about limits of API usage. Okay. So REST APIs are, REST is a framework as we kind of, go and make stuff. Let's say I want to go and kind of, create a backend service. I'm going to use a framework which enables me to do so very, very easily. And in modern world, we use REST or GraphQL or any other framework which satisfies our problem, okay, which can solve our problem in very simple terms. Okay. In this workshop, we are going to use a REST API, which is a very simple joke API, which we are going to work with and add 4 methods to that. About limits of API usage, obviously every API does not come with unlimited free usage. So there are few APIs which will have some limits, and some APIs will be paid if you shoot above the limits. So these are the things which are kind of very, diverse. Like it is not, I cannot say, at a given point that there will be 100 API call limits or something, but you'll have to go to the service which you're using and see how much API calls this service allows you to do for free, and different plans if you are in the paid segment. Okay. What is Postman? Postman is a collaborative API development platform that simplifies creating, using, and testing APIs with a UI. Okay. So what does Postman do? Postman enable you to work with APIs collaboratively. Okay. What does collaboration means? I'll answer your question regarding collection. Okay. So what you can do is, let's say you're working with an API, you can create a workspace, a team workspace, and create a collection. Now, your teammates can also use the same collection which you're working on, and you folks can collaborate together in real time. Okay. So that is what the power of Postman when it comes to kind of collaboration, when it comes to kind of working with APIs. Okay. Who uses Postman? Literally everyone uses Postman. Okay. So 98% of Fortune 500 organizations use Postman. and around 500,000 organizations use Postman in like in their day-to-day life for working with API lifecycle. Okay. With that recent launch, you might have seen we have talked a lot about how API platform works and where Postman, really stands as a leader. So I would recommend you to go and check blog.postman.com and see the new updates to the platform, which are released, the day before yesterday. So I see a question, what is API testing? API testing in very simple terms is you're going to test that API, you're going to see if there is security vulnerabilities, if, people are able to query that API without authorization, what is the scope of the API, if the API returns proper status codes when, queried and so on and so forth. Okay. So how Postman came into existence. That story is pretty awesome. So earlier, everyone used to work with call commands, which were really bad, and people would not like working with it. Reason, it is bulky, does not give you proper information what you need. Uh, Collaboration is a pain, and you have to learn all that commands and make sure sending payload is all a task. Okay, that is how Postman was born, as a tool, as a Chrome extension, which was then used by a lot of people. And once people started using Postman, then we saw the need of people kind of using this, collaborating, and so on and so forth. And that is how Postman app was born. Okay, so yeah, uh, we have been solving this problem for a very long time now. And right now you can see different features which are kind of available, which makes us kind of stand as a leader in terms of other Postman, other API tools which are kind of available. Okay, now, how to work with APIs? Working with APIs is very simple. You send a request and you receive a response. Okay. So in a very simple term, you are going to request something to the server, and the server is going to return that, return whatever you asked for in a response. Okay. How does that work? So while making a request, you're going to, select three major parts of that request. The first one is method, address, and the path. Okay. Let's dive deeper. Okay. So if I want to explain you how you would be working with API, the very first thing you will be zeroing down is a method. There are different types of method. There are 10, 11 methods which are available. Okay. But for ease, we are going to use only four methods: get, post, put, delete. Okay. Get method helps you to retrieve information. Post method helps you to send information. Put method to update, and delete method to delete information. Okay. Now, when we talk about the URLs, okay, like the URL which you see on the top, the URL is also divided into three different parts. Okay, so here you can obviously go ahead and kind of see there are three parts of this URL: the protocol, the domain, and then the path. Okay, so protocol is, in very simple terms, if it is an HTTP request or an HTTPS request or a WebSocket request, or what kind of request, what kind of protocol you're following while making the request. Then comes the domain, which is, in simple terms, your IP address, where your resource is located. And then the last item is path, where the resource is located on the server. Okay. So we will do a quick demonstration and see how does it work. Okay. So if I go here and then I open postman.com, I see this website. Okay. This is a web app which will enable you to kind of do literally everything. You don't need to download Postman client because the web version works well and you can literally do everything in the web version. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a very simple way of using Google search as an API. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a new request, a new GET request to https www.google.com. Okay. So I'm going to hit google.com and see what it returns me. So as you can see, if I hit google.com, it says 200 okay, meaning that it is working fine. I got a response. And in the response, I got a body which looks like HTML. If I click on preview, I can see the Google homepage with broken CSS. That is fine right now because we are not concerned about CSS. Okay. We will see that CSS later on. Okay. Okay. So how to use this as an API? Very, very simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a query parameter. Okay. And I'm going to do is add a key as Q and add the value as Postman. As you can see, as I add query param, the URL automatically changes. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit send and see what it returns. So what does it return? In return, you can see that now Postman is written inside the search box. Okay. But if I go to google.com here and I search for Postman, I directly see the result of Postman, right? Then why is it that here when I kind of add that to, Google search, it gives me Postman written inside and not a result like this? Can someone tell me why is it? Why is it so? Yeah, very simple question. See, you can obviously use get request to create a resource. That is not a problem, but that is not the protocol. Okay. You can, still fulfill the request and return status code as 404. That is, you can do that on over backend, but it does not mean you should. Okay. Because, obviously there are frameworks, there are protocols which you need to take care of. Else people are going to think that you are a mad programmer who just is kind of, trying to mess up. So yeah, uh, for doing, you can differently, definitely do anything you wish to, but you should not be doing that. Okay. So yeah. Oh, no answers. Where are people? My study, Natasha, and who keeps their name as JE meme preparation? Okay, maybe you're preparing for JE too much, man. Okay. So the answer to this question is very simple. You see the URL. The URL is directed to the home page. We want to direct it to the search page, right? So that I can see the search page in return. So now you can see I received a response, which is the search page. So what changed here? The path changed here. Okay. So based on the path, you can say that once you change the path, you can access a specific resource which you are looking at. Okay. Okay. Back from the demonstration, going back to the presentation. Okay. Now, if you want to go ahead and specify more details, you can obviously specify params. You can, kind of authorize yourself and add metadata, okay, like headers, or add a payload, like a body data, okay. So yeah, you can use these kind of, to kind of go ahead and, work with APIs. We will see body and parameters like query parameters in our example, okay. So when we talk about body, what kind of body are we talking about? Okay. So whenever you are sending, adding a resource to the server or you're updating a resource to a server, in that case, you will have to provide a payload. And usually we use payload in the form of body. Okay. So we add the payload in body. So what kind of body can we add? We can add form data, we can add JSON, XML, GraphQL queries, XML, any kind of data. Okay. So there are supported formats which you can add, and that will be decoded by the server, and then you can kind of use them as adding a payload. Okay. So we are going to use JSON because we are using REST API today. So we are going to use JSON to kind of walk around with it. JSON is very simple JavaScript object notation. Works with key value pair. There's a key, there's a value. So for example, here you can see name is a key, and jndo is a value, email is the key, and email is the value, and so on and so forth. Now, once you send a request, you will receive a response. Okay. So you saw this example where we received a response, right? Now in the response, you can see that you can see a status code. You can see header again, which is metadata. Okay, it gives you more information like date, wanted type which you have received, X framework options, set cookie options, and all that stuff, which you can kind of see. And then you can see test results. So we have not written any test, so you don't see any results. Okay. And if you click on body, you can see pretty, raw, and preview, which are different types. Like you can, if you say raw, it is not syntax oriented, just raw response. Pretty gives you syntax oriented stuff. So here you can see auto, JSON, XML, text, and then visualize this Postman specific feature, which is visualizer, which we'll talk about later on. And then preview is basically if you're using HTML as a response, it will preview it in this window. Okay, let's go to the hands-on part, which is pretty exciting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this URL in the chat so that you folks can go and have a look. Okay. Yeah, for testing, I'll definitely, give you some idea probably at the end, so that you can have a look at it and go ahead with it. Okay. So here is the URL. We are going to do a basic hands-on using basics of API. Okay, and here you can see the collection. We are going to use this collection. So let's go and fork this collection. What you see is a public workspace, and in that you see this collection. Collection is nothing but a folder which has multiple requests together. Okay. Collection also has its own documentation, which enables us to understand what we are working with. Okay. So go to the collection and create a fork copy. You can go here and create a fork copy like this. Okay. Click on create a fork copy and create a fork copy for it. I'm going to share this URL again in the chat. Okay. Which is a direct fork URL, which will directly redirect you to the fork option. Okay. So I'm going to redirect it again in the chat. Just go to the fork option and then see it there. Okay. So what are we going to do is we are going to create a fork copy. Right now the fork count is 1795. So we need only 5 forks to touch 1800, which I think we will be able to do in this session. Okay, cool. So the very first thing you need to select is a fork label. Fork label only helps you to distinguish from parent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use today's date, 18 September, and I will use my username with it, like API101, or I'm going to use hyphen API101. Okay, or I will use 18 September, and what I can use, because I already have a collection which I did, in the afternoon. So I'll use Sudan's tech. Okay, that is also fine because this is the evening workshop. So I'll use 18 September Sudan's tech. For the workspace, you will see by default my workspace. Okay. So if you do not have an account, create an account. It is very easy. It is free of cost. You don't have to pay anything. Once you create an account, click on fork. You can skip watching the original collection. It is like GitHub. So if you watch it, you will receive notification and all. If you don't want to, just fork it, and it will refresh the whole page and bring you back to that collection. Okay. So it will take a time and kind of refresh it and give you your collection. Let me see how many people have forked it already. Okay, I only see one fork. That is me. So folks, be quick. I'll give you a minute to do so, and then we can get started with the practical. Come on, folks, be quick. Okay, I still see only one fork. Mhm. Give me a thumbs up once you're done. So you will have to create an account. Okay. Without account, you cannot work around with it. So yeah, you'll have to create an account before you could kind of go in and fork, create a fork copy. So yeah, create an account. It is very easy to do so. It does not take a lot of time. So I will recommend you to kind of, go ahead and create it very, very easily. I'm facing some issue. What issue are you facing? Can you tell me so that I can kind of, see the issue which you're facing? It's done. Okay, Ashwini says it's done. What about others? Well, I see. I don't see your fork. Okay. See, this is my fork, which I just created, right? Yeah, I see it now. 97. Come on, folks. Three more to go. Okay, my in process. So, okay, I will wait for you. Okay. Don't worry. I can wait for you because we obviously, kind of have time so that everyone is on the same page, right? In process. Okay. Okay, we will get started and then people can follow up. Okay. So once you fork it, you can see a collection right here like this. So you can see I have also did it today, right? So I have this 18 September label. So I'm gonna unstart it and start this one so that I'm going to follow along with this one with you folks. Okay. Okay. So the very first thing you're going to do is go and see the documentation. So how to see documentation? Go click on this three dot and click on view documentation. Okay. And then you will be able to see the documentation and go to the documentation. There are three APIs here, quote, joke, and work. And there is one endpoint. So if you go to endpoint, it will return you hello world in return. That means the API is kind of, working and you're able to see a response. Cool. So there are three options for us to use: book, joke, and quote. Which one do you guys prefer? Anmol did it. Okay, that is awesome. Which API do you folks prefer? Joke, quote, or book? My vote is with the joke API. Okay, so I received two more vote, which is for joke API. So we are going right with the joke API. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to copy this URL. Okay, the URL in the documentation, and open the get request, the very first request. So here you can see get data. Open this request and replace this URL with the URL which we just copied. Change the forward with joke. Okay. Hit send and tell me what you see in the response. What do you see in the response? Come on, folks. You will see a random joke. For example, here you can see first rule of programming. If it works, don't touch it. Okay. You will see random joke. So this is the URL which we are working with. Again, I will share it in the chat so that, if someone is not able to get it via documentation, they can refer it in the chat and copy paste it in Postman with a get request. Okay. We are using a get request to get the joke. Random joke. Now, if you want to get a specific joke, then you can go ahead and add an ID. For example, Everyone see joke number 1 and tell me what is joke number 1. So if you want to request a specific joke, you can add the ID in front of the joke like this. Okay. And let me know what is joke number 1. Yes. What is joke number 1? Joke number 1 is very simple. It says, what is hardware? A part of computer which you can kick, right? Yeah, Ashwin. Yeah, Ashwin. Okay. Must study what is hardware. Okay, yeah. So what is hardware is the kind of joke which we all see because we have requested for a specific joke. Now it's time that we add our joke to the server. Okay, so let's go and add a post request. So go to the three dots and click on add request. And there you click rename it add joke. Okay. Now what method are we going to use to add joke? Come on, tell me. What method are we going to use to add joke? We are going to use a post method. So let's add a post method. Yeah, we see it in the chat. Okay. Now we need to figure out the URL. The URL is going to be same. Okay, the URL is not changing. So URL is same. And then hit send and see what it returns. What is the status code? Tell me what is the status code if you hit send. The status code is 400. Meaning what? Meaning that you did not add proper syntax. There is some error from your side. And this is client error, not server error. Okay. So what did we miss? We missed adding body. So go to body, add raw, and from drop down, select JSON. Okay. Okay. Now in the body, you can go ahead and copy the body from here. The documentation, you can see the body is given here. So copy the body and paste it here. Few changes to do. One, change the ID to any positive integer apart from 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'll do it 101. Change author to your name because I don't want a lot of Ali Mustafas in the chat, right? And keep the joke as it is. Don't change the joke. We will change it later on. Okay. Hit send and you will see that it will return you 201. If it returns you 201, meaning that you have done the request successfully and the joke will be visible here. Like this. Bugs are the features. Okay. So once you send your joke, let me know. I will, see the joke available so that you folks can I can refresh it and it is visible to me. Okay, once you have sent. Yeah, obviously I can explain it again. So in the body, you need to add a body because you are adding a joke, right? So first you select the method as post, you add the URL, then here in the tab, select body, select raw, and then here select JSON. Now, how will the body look like? The body you can obviously refer to the documentation to understand the structure of the body. Okay. So where is the documentation? Go to this three dots and click view documentation, and it will open a documentation in a new tab. And in the documentation, you can see that making request for the joke API. So we already made the get request. Now we are making a post request. So for that, this is how the body looks like. So copy this and paste it inside the body. But you still need to change the ID because joke number 1 already exists. So change it to any positive integer, change the author to your name and hit send. it should return you 201. Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute to kind of do this, and then we will go ahead. You did? Okay. Oh yes, I can see your joke here. Ashwani. Yes. Ashwani. So I don't see your joke, my study. What did you add? You add as a name. Did you receive 201? Because I cannot see your joke. Mhm. Here I can see. No, I'm not able to see your joke. Maybe try adding it again. Did you select Jason here? Did you get 201? Okay. So I'll give you some time. You can go ahead and try it out. Now the next step is to update this joke because you used my joke, right, which I added. So you need to update the joke. Now check. Okay, let me check. No, I don't see it. Huh? Can't see it. Okay, so updating the joke. So updating the joke, which method are we going to use? Let's add a request. And then here we mention update joke. Okay. Which method are we going to use to update the joke? Come on, folks, be quick. So I'm looking at the left because the chat is on the left. Okay. So that is where I'm looking. Hmm. So we're going to use put request. Okay. Again, for put request, the URL is going to be same. I'm copying the same URL. The body is also going to be the same. So raw JSON. So I'm copy pasting the same body. But few changes I need to do. Change number one, I need to make sure this is the ID which you have used, okay, while sending the joke. So make sure your ID is proper. Second change you need to do, what you need to update, you need to update the joke. So the joke I'm going to update is I am a full stack developer as I pull code from internet. Okay. So this is my joke. I am full stack developer as I pull code from the internet. If you don't know any jokes, then Google programmer jokes, and you will see a lot of jokes available, and you can copy paste it. Okay, a person who fixed the problem that you know have in a way to not understand. So yeah, there are multiple kind of jokes. The part of the computer you can kick, and then what is the object-oriented way to become wealthy? Inheritance. What do you call a programmer from Finland? Okay, these are fun ones. Okay. So go ahead and update your joke and let me know. So once you add, hit a send and tell me what is the status code you see. Okay. Okay, let me refresh. So I see two random jokes like bugs are features. I don't know what you were trying to add. And then the second one is bugs are FRFRF. Okay. I am not this. This is imposter Ali Mustafa. Okay. I'm not this one. So yeah. Once you update it, give me a thumbs up in the chat. I see 201. You should not see 201. It should be 206. Sorry, 204. Not 206, 204. Okay. Once you update the joke. 201 should be for adding a joke. Okay. So once you update it, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Yeah, I see. Let's rocket. Okay, this is good. If I refresh, now you can see let's rocket is added by my study. But that is not a joke. Okay. Okay. The last step is to delete this. So save this, and then we delete the joke. So delete joke, and then the method is going to be delete. So can you delete the joke for me using the documentation? See, documentation is pretty simple for deleting a joke. Okay. So can you delete the joke for me? Thank you, my study. Okay. I don't know your real name, so I'm gonna call you that. Okay. Yeah. So can you delete the joke? It's very easy to delete it. Once you delete it, it will vanish. Okay. Okay. So let's delete it. So I'll go here, and the URL is almost same. Nothing changes there. So I'm going to add the URL here, and then add my ID, which was 102. Was it 102? Let me see. Oh, it was 101. Okay. It was 101. And then hit enter, and you can see that it will return joke with ID 101 is deleted. And it says 200, meaning that our request was successfully approved. If I come back here and refresh, I can no longer see my joke. So there are only two jokes which are available and two are deleted. Awesome. Now, did you know that Postman itself is an API? Okay. So you can actually use Postman as an API. Okay. So you can create a new request using APIs and so on and so forth. So for that, I'll show you the workspace. Okay, which you can refer to for creating and working with your own like Postman API. Okay. So if you go and search Postman API, you will see this workspace. Okay. There are multiple workspaces and collections which are available. So if you click Postman API, you can see that the whole idea of this. So if you open this view documentation, you can see that you need an API key. And once you get an API key, you can literally do everything. What you can do with this API, you can make a new mock server. Okay. You can make a new environment. You can create a collection. You can get a collection. Okay. And you can literally do everything. So API, you can import data. You can, see the user and everything else. Okay. So yeah, best of luck using Postman as an API. Okay. If you have any doubts regarding that, feel free to kind of ask me, and I'll be more than happy to answer your doubts. Okay. Cool. Coming back to the presentation, recap what we learned. We learned different types of methods. We learned addresses and everything, parameters. Now, one thing which is bad about this API is that there is no security, and that is designed because it is because of beginner perspective, right? That is why I designed that API so that you don't need to kind of get an API key. But in real world, it is very, very rare where you will get an access to an API without an API key, okay, or a auto authorization and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you like this, you can kind of go ahead and learn more and get a more idea around authorization and so on. If you want to continue your learning journey as a postman, if you like this, as so you can continue and become a postman student expert, where you will learn about testing, you will learn about a lot more things. So go and apply here today and become a postman student expert. I'll share the URL in the chat so that you folks can go and learn more about postman programs and become a student expert. If you do not have a student leader in your college, you can apply and become a student leader as well. And that will also give you some support from Postman for your, workshop. So there are a lot more content, which I told you, we can share about, and I'll share about it later on. The last part, win amazing swags. So yeah, we have two competitions up here. The first one is a blog writing competition where you need to write a blog about whatever you learned during this session. Okay. And share it with the organizers, the URL, and we will select the best one as a winner. Okay. So that is one competition where we are selecting three winners. And another competition is share your learning using hashtag Postman Student via Twitter or LinkedIn. Use hashtag Postman Student and share your summary of the session. And we're more than happy to select two winners there as well. Okay. Thank you so much for coming in. If you want to explore more, there are multiple resources which are available. And if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them as we are doing that. Yeah, swag
Uh,
opportunities for everyone. Sorry for cutting you down, Simran. But yeah,
yeah, it's okay.
opportunities for everyone. You can use the, as I told you, there are two ways to earn swag. Either you use hashtag Postman Student or you write a blog, and you can earn swags in both the ways, and we'll ship the swags to you directly. So yeah,
So thank you so much, Mr. Ali, for joining us, for taking out time from your busy schedule. And this was really, really a wonderful session, very informative, and a good learning experience for all of us. And a heartfelt thanks goes out to each one of you for joining and supporting us. Keep supporting, and we'll be coming up with a lot more such sessions. Thank you so much.
thank you, folks. Bye bye. Have a good day.